Even though we've lived in Nebraska for most of our lives, neither of us have been to the Nebraska State Fair. A bug just flew into my face.
Now that's a disgrace.
Since we are taking a big step in our lives and going to the state fair, I wanted to learn about the history a little bit. This is actually the 155th year of the Nebraska State Fair.
That's a big deal, I'm pretty sure.
The first Nebraska State Fair was in 1859. Nebraska didn't become a state until 1867. The fair in 1859 wasn't the Nebraska State Fair, but it was held in Nebraska, so it technically was the first Nebraska State Fair.
It's been going on even before Nebraska was a thing.
When state fairs first started, there was drama because people thought it was supposed to be all about education, but then these fairs would have like weird attractions, like pigs with like ton legs, or like women that have beards, and people thought that just wasn't right.
That's funny that the point of a state fair is about cattle and stuff or whatever you just said, because growing up I always viewed fairs as rides, food, funnel cakes. This is actually a quote from someone in the Nebraska government a long ass time ago. Don't go into sideshows to see fat women or a calf with 2 heads and 8 legs or any other monstrosities, but look at the stock, examine the points, and make note of where you can purchase a fine shorthorn or a Chester White or any other desirable stock. I understand people want to buy stock while they're there, but why can't there also be a show featuring a calf with 2 heads? Also, back then, was it actually a fair show just showing a fat woman? Like, I don't get it.
While I was looking at old photos from the previous Nebraska State Fairs, I saw they used to have a burlesque show.
That is way too spicy.
It's bad. The Nebraska State Fair is held in Grand Island, Nebraska.
Let's go to the islands, baby.
This is the biggest island in Nebraska. So we walked into the state fair, and the first thing that happened is someone was selling windows, and they asked us, anyone you know need a new windows? But buy them here, we have a good price. I also heard a family that was having an argument. Basically, someone was telling the family to go this way, and then they wanted to go the other way, so someone said, no, it's this way! And then me and Lucas thought about this statistic that we heard earlier this year, that more violence happens during the warmer months of the year. You are just bombarded with food vendors.
We were starving. It was about 1:30 or something. It was past due for lunch.
They have seafood. There's a whole truck for mac and cheese, fried alligator, cheese curds, mini donuts, not regular sized donuts, outlaw fries, which was actually featured on the hit TV show Carnival Eats. I've actually never heard of it, but there's a lot of fried stuff.
Yeah, there were at least 5 different corn dog stands.
This is one of my favorite themes. Like, I just love how it looks so colorful. It feels like I'm back in the day or something.
I know, it feels like just classic Americana. Diet Cherry Coke energy.
But I did get angry because I saw that Pizza Hut and Papa Jack's Grill had their own vendor station, and it's like, okay, I'm just not for these big chains doing food at the fair. I just don't think it's right, personally.
I know, there shouldn't be chains there. Like, what's next? A McDonald's thing? What?
Me and Lucas made the educated decision to get Greek gyros.
Gyros. This is a local Nebraskan chain.
Yeah, I think it is. Parathon or something.
Like, I was excited to get a gyro all up in it.
Both of us got the hot and spicy chicken gyro. Ooh. We got a medium diet Pepsi, but look how big that is. That's a full-on big gulp, extra large.
Now, people say everything's bigger in Texas, but honey, this is a Nebraska medium. Stuff's bigger here too. Everything's bigger.
2 of these gyros and 2 sodas, and I'm pretty sure it somehow was $50.
Oh yeah, they marked that shit up.
Now I understand why our mom was always like, you can't be getting too much fair food. Maybe it's just because I was at the fair and I was just on cloud 9, but this gyro was hitting me. Like, when I was done eating it, I had to look in the mirror and make sure I didn't have a black eye because it was that good.
You thought it like fully like beat you up.
Yeah.
Pretty sure I said while eating this that it was the best gyro I've ever had. bad. And I actually still stand by that. We got the hot and spicy supreme, which I don't know what made it those things, but it was honestly my favorite earb I've ever had still.
You just know it's good because I couldn't even eat it like you're actually supposed to eat it. I had to open that shit up and use my hands because they loaded it up.
Yeah, it was immaculate.
Even though it did smell like animal shit the whole time while we were eating, because right beside us there was a big like warehouse bound building full of cattle, I didn't really care because honestly smelling that kind of reminds me of being at home.
Unlike the Nebraska county fairs we've been to, the Nebraska State Fair features a ski lift. And it's funny because you would think it would be to like bring you from one side of the fair all the way to the other side of the fair, but it kind of just brings you through this short area, but it's just fun. Like it's literally just for fun.
We were looking at it thinking like, do they just put this up for the state fair? But the poles holding up the ski lift were permanent. So it probably would have been safe, but I just don't want to be on the ski lift. Oh my gosh, life is so fun. And then I drop to the ground and basically everyone just films it and put it on TikTok and oh my gosh, these two people got paralyzed in the ski lift. They might be dead. And like, to me, it just doesn't sound fun dying. So
yeah.
I just didn't want to do it.
It ran smoothly the whole time, but yeah, still, we just don't want to take the chance.
We just were walking around the fair and then we stumbled upon a few exhibitions. First of all is the tractor one. There's this big combine that actually looks like a scary movie.
Now, this was too big. I don't think they should be allowed to be this big. That is so scary. Like those claws in the front.
I just swear that no one knows it yet, but this tractor has a whole consciousness and stuff.
It is gonna take over. What?
We were both scared, so then we moved on to the storage units.
There were so many for sale.
Part of me was like, do I want a storage unit? But then I realized like, oh, I don't have anything to store in it, so I don't need one. But
in my dumbass mind, like I view storage units as they convert them into an Airbnb. You know, like those cute little houses they make out of storage units, but like, why would you ever need one?
I feel like no one knows why they exist, but they exist. Then there was a whole section for hunting supplies.
These little hunting houses, like they blend in with the forest and then you can like pop out and shoot animals.
We were just at this point where we were like, wait, so, is this all there is? But then we saw this calendar and there were so many activities. We decided to go to the milking parlor because there was a scheduled milking session.
I know, we wanted to see those cows get milked. Yes.
We got there like 20 minutes early. We waited patiently and right at 1:30, the show started. They brought out 2 cows and they attached these little milking systems and they just taught us all about it.
There was a man narrating the whole thing and he gave us so many facts. I can't really remember any now. What did he say?
Something about like they drink 30 gallons of liquid each day and they eat 60 pounds of hay a day.
Oh yeah, and they only spend 30 minutes of their day getting milked. They get milked 3 times a day, like 10 minutes each. They put little candies. I mean, it probably isn't actual candy, but they have little treats for them to be munching on and they get their nipples milked by these machines, which apparently are very gentle.
It was sad because I actually wanted to see someone do it by hand, but this will do for today.
It actually is beneficial to go to the state fair and learn about cattle and stuff. Because I was just thinking like, wait, when I order 4-cheese pasta at Cheesecake Factory, like cows were involved. Like obviously I knew that, but just weird thinking like, what? You know what I mean? Like how is there enough cheese? Like they're really doing this.
Wow, it was so cool to see this. But then a guy came around handing everyone string cheese, and cheese is made from milk, which would come from a cow.
I know, I was so excited. I was like, wait, this is made from these cows? Whoa. But then we saw it was Wisconsin cheese.
How do you eat your string cheese? Do you pull it apart or bite on it?
I bite mine. I've always been a little bit different.
I can tell.
This weird robot contraption was walking around, and then we realized it was a man doing an entire band all by himself. He had a drum attached to his back that his feet were controlling. He had a guitar. Was there something else going on, a piano?
He was doing vocals.
And he was playing some hits, so we got to jam out for a bit.
This guy constantly had a crowd. Later in the day, we walked past him, and he had another crowd. I honestly thought we were just going to be bored most of the day at the fair, but then we saw saw there was a
Ventriliquist?
Yeah, there was a show of that.
Little puppet boy.
From my knowledge, I don't think I've ever seen something like this in person.
Yeah, I don't think I have either. I never have like even watched a full comedy special of someone doing this. Like I always have known it existed, but I never have really looked too deeply into it.
When he started performing, I actually was wowed because I was like, wait, so he's just constantly talking, but it doesn't look like he's constantly talking.
And it was fast, like his voice, puppet voice, and there were different voices. I don't know when he was taking breaths.
He brought out like a bunny in a hat, and the bunny in the hat talked, and then he brought out a turtle that also talked. Okay, my name is Jacob, and this is my friend. Hi, my name is Big Bill. Does that kind of like sound like?
I could just see your mouth opening though the whole time and closing. We were kind of stressed because we knew we wanted to see this freak show called The World of Wonders. It looked like it was kind of a throwback to the early freak shows from the 1800s of like a bearded woman, a strong woman, a two-headed man. And we were cutting it close, so we rushed after the ventriloquist and went to the freak show tent.
So it started out with this lady hula hooping, and there was some like old-timey carnival music in the background.
You know, right when we got there, it was just the funniest vibe because the music wasn't that loud. Audience was small. It was just such a funny energy right from the get-go.
There was people getting decapitated. That one wasn't cool to me because it's like, oh, this is just a gimmick.
I know, but there were some kids freaking. Did you hear that one girl saying, "Is this real?" She said, "What?" And then she was like, she looked like she wanted to leave. She was saying, "Is this really happening?" Like she was actually having like a panic attack. I felt so bad for her.
There was a guy that put a nail up his nose.
And then that guy hung stuff from his eyelids. I had to look away for that part. Did he actually do that?
Yeah, he actually put
I was like, that is just
canisters from his eyelids.
It's like, girl, okay, like that's cool. You can do that, but you're gonna get under eye bags.
I thought it was sick.
I couldn't look. Like for some reason, when stuff has to do with eyeballs, I can't watch.
There was a guy that swallowed fire, and another guy swallowed swords, which I don't even understand how that's possible. Like, how do you put a 20-inch sword down your throat?
I know he was really just like shoving them down.
This was probably my favorite show we saw because it was just so odd.
And it was just cool how it was classic circus vibes.
And it was even in a circus tent. Then the tent turned into a museum, and they had some crazy stuff that made my eyes bulge out.
We saw an alien body.
There was a mermaid, I guess, that was found in some sea. There was a two-headed turtle, a haunted doll, and there was also a tapeworm.
Like that's actually a tapeworm that was in someone's intestine.
And it kind of gave the vibe of like, I feel like most of it might just be fake.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like someone just carved that alien body, obviously.
This is a big claim. Greatest carnival on the planet.
Oh my gosh, they're saying it.
I do have to say that I have been to the Los Angeles County Fair. They did have more fair rides there, but I mean, I just love a good outrageous claim.
I know, best in the world.
They did have a bunch of rides. They had little kid rides. All the rest of the rides basically were rides that just keep going in circles and make you want to throw up all the fair food you ate.
This is one thing that TikTok ruined for me, carnivals. Going on TikTok, you see too many videos of these types of rides tumbling down and everyone's screaming. So it just ruins it.
We were watching the Street Fighter 360. It just goes like full upside down and stuff. But then I would realize that we're actually putting ourselves in danger watching the ride, because if it did happen, like one of these videos you see on the internet where it started collapsing and stuff, it could literally hit us in the face and we die.
Oh my gosh.
We noticed while it was going that the ride kind of very slightly was swaying back and forth, and that scared me.
It's just insane that these rides are actually folded up and put into semis. I just don't understand how that's a thing.
Then it also just scared me because I saw all these cords on the floor, and then I just thought like someone could just unplug one of these cords and like the ride just shuts off and everyone dies.
One of the most iconic fair rides is the zipper. This was at all the county county fairs we went to growing up. I've been on it a handful of times, and it is a death device. You get shoved in a cage and just zipped around, flipped. You're just stuck in this cage. You can't move. Like, it is horrible. I remember having so much fun on it as a kid, but I would never now.
There's this memory of I went on this, and I remember I got scared because I realized after I got in it, wait, I have to wait for 8 other people to get in their cages because they do one cage at a time.
Okay, so you're just stuck there and flopping around.
And whenever the fair comes to town, it's like 90 degrees, so you're sweating in this cage. Okay, and then the ride starts. It's spinning in circles. Wow, it's so fun. Lasts like a minute, and then you're stuck in the cage for another 10 minutes getting off the ride because they have to do cage by cage. And I feel like this ride, like, you'd have to pay me a bunch of money to go on it.
I know. The sad thing is it is so much fun, but it's just not worth the stress of being locked in a kennel.
Once we entered this carnival part of the fair, though, they were playing good music.
They're looking at us. They're looking at us.
I feel like they haven't really innovated fair rides. Like, did they hit the cap of how cool they can get? Because these are the same as the 90s.
But we did see a roller coaster, and I don't remember ever seeing a roller coaster at the county fair we used to go at when we were kids.
That might be more of a state fair thing. Paying for the roller coaster to be transported on the semis.
This wasn't open, though, and we came back like an hour later, and one of the employees was on the roller coaster by himself testing it out, and it was making like loud screeches. So I was 100% not gonna go on that jankety dinkety roller coaster.
No, the fact that that worker was testing it out, I'm like, you're putting your life on the line.
This is actually approved by like the US government? I don't get it.
I know it.
Yes, there was an ambulance because I'm just gonna assume every night someone goes home on that ambulance, either from getting hurt on the fair rides, and I also picture a lot of fights at the fair.
Yeah, beat ups.
Yes, they do have actual bathrooms at this fair, but I had to use a porta potty because I just want to have the ultimate fair fantasy.
How was it?
It was good.
Just an A+ porta potty?
Yeah, I just went pee standing up. Me and Lucas did get some tickets, and we were like, let's go on some rides. So the first thing that struck our interest was this little like play maze thing.
That's a Funhouse thing with a slide.
So we went up to the employees, and they said, oh, this is only for kids. Me and Lucas yelled at them because isn't that ageism technically?
What? I know, I was pissed. This was a more big kids Funhouse, so we thought maybe we'd be allowed on this one.
We went up and they said, oh, the slide is too hot. These fairs are happening all during the summer. Like, it's always gonna be hot. Let me go on the slide.
We even came back later and they were like, the slide's still too hot.
We decided the next best thing is going on Drag Strip, which is a giant slide. They have these even at amusement parks. It just is like a classic thrill ride.
I feel like this is the tallest one I've ever been on, though.
Walking up the stairs was kind of scary because it kind of felt like it was all gonna collapse at any moment.
This was fun. You just get on one, you have one of those little trash bags and you go down on it.
Yes, there is little kids that go on this slide, but I swear I was the lightest person that went on it because it wasn't safe. I was genuinely terrified because I was actually getting lifted up off the ground, and I was like, I guess I'm too petite to go on this, or what?
I feel like I was gaining so much speed that I was getting scared. I was like, I'm gonna slam into the wall once we get to the bottom. Like, I just thought I was going way too fast. Like, nobody had ever gone this fast on this slide before. I thought it was gonna be the end of my life.
I decided I want a little bit more danger in my life, so I went on the Typhoon. So I made a little pros and con list in my head. What could happen on this ride? And I decided the only con would be it starts on fire. And that actually is a really big con because I'd burned to death, but I decided like that most likely won't happen, you know?
Oh, yeah. I didn't go on it, so I was sort of being more of the parent filming you from afar.
Buckle you put on that goes over your waist, but I purposely put the buckle where I had enough room to jump out at any point.
Wait,
and
really?
The fair employee didn't like tighten it. Oh, if a fire does happen, I'm just gonna jump out.
Oh, yeah.
And I'd probably still die because it's going so fast.
Purposely putting on the buckle loose. For safety.
This ride was a classic. I would always go on it as a kid. It just is fun. And I remember the one that I used to go on at the county fair would like light up and stuff. It was more of a moment.
The one that was at our county fair also blasted music.
I am glad I went on it, but I did feel a little bit dizzy after, so...
Time for Dodge 'em. classic bumper car attraction.
Bumper cars are always so much fun, but there was a lot of kids when we were on the bumper cars with us.
It was just us, another adult, and then like 5 kids. So I felt like I couldn't really ram anyone.
It just wasn't that fun because I wasn't gonna willingly bump into a kid, you know?
Yeah, so I just kept repeatedly bumping into you, Jacob, over and over. And then because I was even too scared to bump into the other adult man. So that maybe he would say, stop, and then like beat me up after.
Did you know that you bumping me so many times gave me a headache?
Sorry, dodge him.
I do have to admit, going on these fair rides is more fun at night. When it's dark out and all these neon lights, it just elevates the whole experience.
Yeah, it's more of a euphoria moment then.
Yeah, whereas now it's more of a modern family moment or something.
Yeah, not the same.
I built up the courage to go on Starship 4000. This is another classic ride at fairs that I would always go on as a kid.
No, this is always a classic, and it just looks so cool. Like it looks like a UFO about to take off, spinning.
So I walked inside and I immediately was just like, it made me scared because I started to realize like, wait, are these rides literally from the 70s? Because all the paint's chipping, everything just looks like it's actually about to fall apart. And it was so hot in there, and it a little bit smelled like someone just cleaned up puke. Like this ride always just smells like pee and puke.
Oh yeah, I remember as a kid going on this and you had to find a spot that wasn't wet. Why do people pee on these?
I mean, because you're just spinning in circles and probably people just do it. Like, they don't even purposely do it.
They're
It
probably
just
laughing
happens.
so hard that they piss.
So it spins in circles, you get stuck to the wall, and then your part of the wall can go up and down, so it's a lot happening. And I actually was genuinely like giggling for when it was happening, like, I just didn't like it overall. I mean, it just made me more dizzy, in fact. Finally, one of the fun houses was open. The Walkie Shack.
You immediately feel like you just did a bunch of shrooms, all these psychedelic designs on the wall.
There's a stripper pole next up.
I know, like all of a sudden you're spinning. Whoa, what's going on? Help!
And then you walk through these ropes and you're like, oh my gosh.
Up the floors, wheely things, you're gonna slip. Like the whole thing is just a big booby trap.
That's how I felt. Then it ended with a slide, and at the end of the slide, there was a pack of cigarettes. So I'm sorry to whoever lost their cigarettes on this slide.
Poor smoker. We had a few more tickets left, and we didn't want to go on anything else, so we decided to go on the drag strip again, giant slide. And it was just as fun the second time, and I was just as scared pretty much.
I just love it because although we probably weren't even going that fast, it just feels like you're going so fast.
I know, it is fun.
F-U-N. Fun.
That's what it was.
We were done with the carnival, so we went into the convention center to see what's up. There was a bunch of hot tubs, a bunch of mattresses. We only stayed in there for like 3 minutes because we were like, we don't plan on buying any of this stuff.
Yeah. Are they all on sale for the fair? Is that the whole thing? Like if you want to get a hot tub, should you wait for the state fair?
I mean, maybe. I didn't think about that. Maybe there actually is a reason for it.
We went to the animal part. I'm pretty sure this is actually the birthing pavilion. Like a lot of birthings were happening here. Like we saw this pig with all the little piglets next to it. And I guess they were born earlier that week and they're all just sucking the nipples and all piled on each other. And
there was sheep. This part of the fair I am really familiar with because when we were kids, we would always check out this part of the fair.
oh yeah, because usually it was like a petting zoo type thing, but this one said actually don't touch anything.
Yeah, there's actually so many signs that said like, wash your hands because so many diseases can be spread.
Wash your hands immediately when you leave here. So that just grossed me out. I was like, this is disgusting.
And then there was a bunch of dust going in our face, so we just decided, okay, like, oh, it's so cool looking at the animals and wow, but we left. We both decided mutually that it was time for dinner, supper. While I was looking at all the food vendors, I was like, wait, so they all have the same theme. They seem like carnival foods. Are they all owned by the same big company? But I went to the Nebraska State Fair website, and there was a bunch of different companies that had food vendors at this fair.
I knew I wanted a corn dog, but it was so hard because like I said earlier, there were so many corn dog stands. Which one do you pick? Our heart told us to go to hand dipped on a stick specialty corn dogs. I liked how this place, all it did was corn dogs. A lot of these places had corn dogs on the side, but this was the only thing they did.
Yeah, so I had more hope in it. Both of us just got an original corn dog. Each one was $9, and there was someone beside us that said $9, and then it made me wonder, like, yes, that actually is a ridiculous price for one corn dog, but it made me wonder how many times does this lady working at this vendor get yelled at? Like, I feel like honestly 20 times a day there's someone in her face saying, why is it $9? And then she's like, I don't make the price, I'm so sorry.
That's why I loved how fast it was. Like, I kind of thought it was going to be a hand-dipped thing where she would do it in front of us, and deep fry it or something, but there was a big pile of them, and she went to the top of the pile and gave us 2.
Somehow when I took my first bite, it tasted so fresh still.
I know it was so hot and warm. She had just battered these within the 30 minutes before or something. This was a good-ass corn dog. Like, I'm so used to eating these frozen corn dogs, but like when you actually get a real carnival corn dog, it is out of this world.
Each bite I dipped in a bunch of ketchup and mustard, and I was honestly like, wow, like if you want a corn dog like this, the only way you can do it is by going to a fair. Like you can't, by making it homemade, but I feel like honestly it wouldn't be the same. You need to get out of fair. Okay, so a corn dog. It's a hot dog wrapped in like that, in cornbread or cornmeal. That's like one of the best breadings ever. It's sweet, like it's a sweet and savory item.
Oh, it's so good.
I actually think I forgot the whole experience, and I'm glad we filmed it because I was just high the whole time.
I did keep noticing this lady from another table kept glancing at us, because I could tell she was like so mad that she didn't get a corn dog, because she was eating some other thing, and like she just kept stealing glances at us like, oh, why didn't I get a corn dog? There's 2 types of people in the world: the ones who entertain and the ones who observe.
We were entertaining people with the way we were eating these corn dogs.
I know. We were kind of the whole show for that area. Like whenever we put the corn dog to our mouth and we go, oh, and then, whoa, once it went into the mouth, time for more food. Dinner isn't done yet.
We were thinking like, what should we get? There was literally like probably like 50 different places to choose from, and we made the conscious decision of like, let's get pizza. Even though you can get pizza from anywhere, we were like, I bet fail pizza's even better.
I was a little bit sad because all they had was cheese and pepperoni. I actually was hoping for more of a supreme moment with olives and stuff, but we got the pepperoni.
And then right when we sat down, I looked in front of us and there was a pizza place that actually had good pizza with all these olives and shit on them. So we just paid $6 a slice for this boring ass pizza. And I was just mad because I was like, we should have put more scientific research into our next entree.
I know, we rushed it. And the pizza was good, but it was just
basic.
There's nothing out of this world. After that dinner, I was parched, so I had to get something a little bit sweet.
I mean, it makes sense that you were pouched because you probably just consumed 500% of your daily sodium.
Yeah, something like that. So I found this homemade lemonade place, and it was actually homemade. They were squeezing the lemons right in front of you to prove it was homemade. And I got the 32 ounce of lemonade, and it hit.
Lemonade at a fair is one of the best lemonades ever. Like it's so iconic.
Perfect. It wasn't too bitter. It wasn't too sweet. It was just exquisite. The sad thing was, even though I got such a big cup of it, I drank it in probably 3 minutes.
For my sweet treat moment, I decided to go to the root beer float stand. It looks so cool from the outside, and I just got a root beer float, and it was like root beer that came from Tap. I don't even know what brand it was. And then it was soft serve vanilla ice cream. If you're watching this video and you haven't ever had a root beer float, or you haven't had one in the past year, go make yourself one because they are honestly so good. Something about that soda and that ice cream, it just goes together.
In grade school, they had a root beer float day, and I hated it the first time I had it. My palate wasn't mature enough to appreciate it.
That's so funny because I actually have memories now of I used to hate on root beer floats too. I swear I used to be like, they just aren't it. But I think they were more of an adult thing.
Yeah, you have to you have to have a certain sense of maturity to appreciate it.
Baby, I... There was still one part of the fair we had not visited yet. The Grand District. We strolled through it. We saw a bunch of tractors, and there was also horses. I was wondering what the horses were.
Nay.
We
We then stumbled upon an old cowboy western theater show. The guy shot a gun a few times, which hurt my ears so bad. He actually told everyone to shut their ears, but I guess I didn't shut my ears.
my ears.
I didn't cover my ears soon enough. Yeah, just a little cowboy comedy show. We ended up walking away. We didn't watch the whole thing.
Okay. We were sipping on Diet Pepsi, walking around the main grounds, and we both actually thought there was a guy riding an ostrich.
And I was wowed. I was like, I didn't know you could ride those. Like, what?
Then I was also thinking, like, is that animal abuse riding an ostrich? Like, can they hold an adult man? Like, are they in pain?
Thinking, like, I remember hearing that they can run like 80 miles per hour. So, like, is this safe? Like, what if they just take off full speed?
Then we went closer, and it was just all a costume. It was a guy in stilts, and it was all glitz and glam Hollywood. Oh, we stumbled past another show. This was a country singer guy, and he was singing his original songs. And for like the 5 minutes we were at this show, I was like, he's a star.
It reminded me of A Star Is Born. Like, I pictured that's Bradley Cooper, and then Lady Gaga would work at another stand, and then they would get a record deal, you know?
Ooh, now it's the big part of the night. I booked one of the headlining shows at the Nebraska State Fair, the Little River Band. Me and Lucas weren't familiar with them, but after asking our parents, they were like, oh, I've heard of them. I might know a few of their songs.
They're very popular in the 70s, right?
They were formed in the 70s, and I guess they've had 16 Billboard Hot 100 hits and have sold over 30 million records, so they're a big deal.
Okay, so we're about to see some legends.
We were sat ready to enjoy this show. A band came out. They were performing some songs. Then they said, we're gonna perform a Beatles song now.
We thought this was a Little River Band, so we were kind of confused. First of all, they all seemed to be 34. So I was like, how are they formed in the 70s? And then they sang a Fall Out Boy song, and I was like, I'm just so confused.
Then they performed 7 songs, and they said, okay, we're about to go now. And me and Lucas looked at each other like, wait, we paid $25 to watch 7 songs? But then we both were like, oh, we're dumbasses. That was just the opening act.
That's so funny. Is this our first ever concert? Being surprised there's an opening act.
I just didn't think there would be one. So the morning that we were going to the state fair, I was on the Little River Band Wikipedia. The people that are performing as the Little River Band are not the Little River Band. None of the original members are still in the band, and the band was formed in Melbourne, Australia. None of the members are from Australia anymore. From my skimming of the Wikipedia, it kind of seems like the name Little River Band wasn't owned by any of the members. Someone else owns it, so then they can still go on tour as the Little River Band. We stayed for 7 songs. We kind of just got tired because we had been at the fair for 7 hours. And I think we kind of were both overstimulated. So yes, the Little River Band performing, they did sound good. It sounded like the songs we listened to on the way to the fair. But I just wanted to go home.
Yeah, we were all faired out. We'd been at the fair for 8 hours.
Strolled out of the venue, strolled past the carnival, walked out of the Nebraska State Fair. Woohoo! Let's clap hands!
Woo! Hey!
I genuinely had a fun time, and I loved how there was always something to do. We were doing things for the whole time we were there.
I know, it makes sense that state fairs go to your state for a week or two, because I think it might be a Disney World type thing. You need to go multiple days to do everything. There's apparently a comedy hypnotist we missed.
Me and Lucas can both agree that our official review is F-U-N. Fun.